Hey, everybody. Welcome to 2023 and this year's first installment of Fridays with Steve, Fridays with me. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Have some fun stuff to talk about today. Kind of as we're coming into a new year, I know for many of us, the calendar year and the fiscal year align, and so we've been coming through some budgeting processes and some hopefully some reflection on the last year, laying those plans down for 2023. And I want to talk about sort of the landscape of hybrid work and some things to consider, some things we're considering, some gotchas, some of the insight we have because of all the great customers that we work with, and take this opportunity to kind of share it with you. So thanks for joining us, and let's go ahead and get started. And so, I want to talk a bit about sort of the new landscape. There's lots of interesting information kind of coming out right now about, the way the world is changing again, right? And I definitely want to convey that, I don't think we're going back to some sort of previous state, but continue to sort of evolve into new and sort of different environments. I want to talk a little bit about hardware. Just have a slide or two where I'll mention it. Have some interesting perspectives as we work with customers, as I support my family's hardware needs, and what that can look like, from a smart investment standpoint, continuing to invest in a platform like Teams to bring your organization, your people together wherever they might be. And so I want you to walk away with some insights, with some things to think about, call to action. Let us help you. We're here to help. Our core values are really about solving problems for our customers as opposed to selling a package solution. I really want to make sure that folks know that they can reach out to us and help. And I'll share information about that as we get further into today. So just real quick, a little bit about Apex Digital Solutions. We're based in Southfield, Michigan, growing across the country from an ability to deliver and sort of our customer footprint, tightly aligned with Microsoft, in the what is now the former partner program. Lots of gold and silver competencies in the new partner program, really focusing on modern work and security, hundreds of customers, hundreds and hundreds of projects deployed, and world-class customer satisfaction. This is a 2023 discussion, and one of the things that we did coming out of 22 is we looked at how we land sort of expectations and incentives on employees, including myself, and saying, hey, can we do this a little bit better? And one of the things is, continuing to land that, our customer satisfaction is an important way that we get recognized and compensated for our work, to be transparent. And that lives on, right? It's an important piece of every role in the organization, from my chair to our delivery leadership, to our technical leadership, to our financial leadership. Everyone has a hand in making sure that the customers are well served by any solutions, any people, any products that we bring to the table, that we stand behind them and make sure that they have the expected results. So, looking at some numbers about where this is going, folks are feeling overworked. They want that flexible remote work options. At the same time, I think I want to, offer that there certainly has been a lot of things in the news about, hybrid really being the direction of the future. Specifically, they're not a customer. I welcome them. Bob Iger, if you're on the line, give me a call. But Disney has put out a call saying, hey, we're a creative and a collaborative company, and there's some things that we can do, remote, but there are some things that maybe we can best do when we're all together. Their business is imagination and creating, worlds for the rest of us to, participate in and enjoy. And so, I know they've made some headlines with sort of making an investment in having people be together for collaboration and innovation. Um, and at the same time, all of these things are going on. Security remains such a concern, right? That breaches are costly. They're continuing to happen. Unfortunately, they've happened in the last year to companies whose only job is to help you protect yourself, right? Whether it's someone like LastPass or other places where you had one job, and even when you have one job, that job is still really, really tough. And so, we talk about sort of that zero trust environment that we're all working towards, and the pandemic and remote work and now hybrid work have been, certainly the world's greatest motivator for getting to that state, right? Getting out from, that modality of sitting behind a firewall. Once we're behind a firewall, everything's good. Well, you've got people all over the place now, and so it's really top of mind to continue to protect ourselves from security breaches, and you can see how expensive that those are. And so when you think about bringing all these things together, it's really about sort of this holistic approach, right? How do I put solutions in place? How do I put a world of work in place for my people, for my organization, for my customers that has some levels of independence to it, right? To say that the process works regardless of device or endpoint, and those endpoints are in a number of different places, and the people they serve, they might be customers, they might be full-time employees, they might be vendors and contractors, they might be business partners. How do we take our solutions and make them a little bit more independent of specific sort of demographic or geographic kinds of constraints? I had this experience last night using Microsoft Dynamics and CRM. I had some time to kill at a swim meet, and so I took out my iPad and said, "Oh, hey, I'll throw." I'll throw CRM on here. I'll throw the sales piece for Dynamics on, and see if I can use it I had some tasks to do, just sort of in bulk when it came to our CRM platform. I found the experience actually to be great, right? Almost better in the sense that I had touch. I had the ability to have a UI that was very compact and focused. It happened to include the task at hand for me. And I really felt that sort of independence when it came to platform and place. And it was a great experience, right? So, kudos to that team for their iOS app for Dynamics, because it really enabled, I think, what I'm trying to talk about here, which is this holistic approach. To the point, I don't have it set up right here, right now. I think it's behind me charging somewhere. Where I think going forward, even if I'm sitting at my desk, I might prop up the iPad and use Dynamics on that at times, simply because it was this kind of independent experience that I was really looking for. And so the question is that how do we bring solutions, platforms to the people we serve with those things in mind, right? How is this process going to be independent of where people are accessing it from? Even the video platform we're using here right now, StreamYard, shout out to StreamYard, is that same approach, right? Browser window, thick client, Mac, Windows, home, office. It was built from scratch to have that kind of independence, right? And it's to support this piece, right? We saw people feel overworked, and maybe we struggle with boundaries. I'll talk about Viva a little bit later and some of the cool stuff it can do with regards to that. And so you need to enable these scenarios, but at the same time, how do we make these things a little bit better, right? Do we give them the tools to be able to set boundaries and to be able to have the flexibility to work when they're on the road, when they're at home, but at the same time have some guardrails in place to help them, delayed send, or like I said, Viva with its virtual commute, different tools that we have to try and help them, frame the world of work the way we want them to, right? Whatever makes sense both for the organization and for the individual. Frontline has got its own challenges as well, right? Saying, hey, how do we enable them with tools with things like productivity and safety in mind? Whether it's scheduling and or whether it's access to information, keeping them, very, very satisfied on the front end. I know both of my sons work in the restaurant industry right now, and one of them refuses to pay the $2.99 for the mobile app for scheduling. Seems like such a miss, right? Hey, we've got a mobile scheduling app, but we asked the employee to pay a couple bucks for it. He has a couple of bucks, but he just finds it to be a point that apparently it's a hill he's willing to die on. The other one, a little less concerned and purchase the app. But let's put those tools out there, right? And let's have those frontline workers in mind when it comes to satisfaction, access into information. And so, coming back to this people, places, and processes notion, how do we bring all of these elements into our discussion, into our consideration when we're thinking about, what we're putting in place, right? I expect to have, full capability wherever I am, whatever device I'm on. I expect it to be secure, and I expect to have access to our business processes and our business data, again, wherever I might be. I think my CRM example is a great one, right? That's a personal device. Apex did not throw an iPad at me when I started a year ago. So that's a personal device, but there are controls in place to say, absolutely, use CRM, use it in this form factor, but use it safely and securely. And so we want to be holistic with how we think about all these kinds of things. So I wanted to talk about some of the gotchas that we've seen, working with our customers, looking at the data, this employee disengagement, company culture. It's so important to us at Apex and so important to many of our customers. And, we needed to find new ways to continue to grow and foster that culture, even if the world of work looks a little bit different, right? How do we protect against burnout? How do we protect against, hey, you're sitting on email at 10 o'clock at night? And so, we're very, very careful, very thoughtful when we think about those things. How do we streamline and make these processes better, but keep them secure? We've obviously bought in and help a lot of our customers buy into sort of this more streamlined, more integrated communication and collaboration, right? Focused on Teams. We've got Microsoft Teams Rooms devices in the office. We provide, great cameras for those of us working from home. This is a great Jabra camera. Not sure I need to be in 4K, but there you are. And we make it easy to communicate and collaborate, right? We wanted to take down as many of those barriers, both for our own business as well as for our customers, and just so there's less friction, right? Make it as friction-free as possible. Digital access to things. We continue to move away from even the digital version of standalone, Excel spreadsheets and OneNote notebooks into integrated platforms like CRM, like Dynamics, where that information is managed and presented in a cohesive way. Data discoverability. It's funny, from very early on in my career, that was always an issue. Initially old enough to remember that internet discoverability was an issue, right? And sort of got solved by places like Yahoo with sort of their index approach, and Google and Bing and Ask Jeeves and Lycos and all kinds of other ones from a searchability standpoint. And so, having information in the right platforms makes it more discoverable as well. We've got device experiences and complexity. I mentioned the iPad as a personal device. Our technology team, led by Sean Flahy, our CTO, for us internally, they do an amazing job of balancing, data and security with access and being able to work how we want to work, right? I mentioned the iPad and iOS. I also work on a Mac, right? And they make that work well, right? It's just my preferred operating environment, and we do it safely and securely. And so, kudos to our team for doing that for us and for helping so many customers do that. So there's a lot of things out there that are sort of frustrating, the efforts or things to watch out for. And so when you address these things, building more connections for the people, to others, to the mission, to data and the information that they need is critical. Onboarding, training, career growth, those things feel a little bit different. I mentioned Viva a little bit earlier. Just a shout out, it has this really cool feature called a virtual commute, which actually at a pre-programmed time will send the home worker, the remote worker on a commute back to their life, right? It'll say, hey, here's a couple of things to think about, and here's some, here's some entrancing music and things like that. And, it doesn't feel like being behind the wheel of a car, but it's designed, smartly designed to be sort of that tangible break, between, hey, that was your day. Now it's home life, or it's personal time. Making the device experience when it comes to places, standard and secure from any location. Again, I'll pick on my CRM story. Had never used it before, loaded it on the iPad, signed in, two-factor authentication. And once I was in, I was like, I know exactly what to do, right? This looks like the dynamics I use on my desktop. We have those collaboration pieces in place for us and can help you as a customer put them in place between the front line, between office workers and remote workers. That's where that Teams and Teams Room experience becomes so critical. I mentioned my friend Bob Iger in Disney. Now his challenge is different, right? In that everybody was at home and perhaps had that capability, cameras, voice and video ability to collaborate. But what happens now when some of them are in the office? What's the status of their conference rooms? What's the status of their devices at work? Were they enabled in the same way to have, great voice and video capability when you're sitting at your desk at work as well? And so super, super critical stuff. And then the process piece, shout out to our leadership team, especially Jason, our CEO, for, really investing in this, right? We call it insights and optimization, right? How do we build repeatable processes? How do we build insight into the data rather than, having someone like me making decisions based on my gut? My gut's pretty good, right? But I'd rather have data, right? I'd rather have information to go ahead and be able to make these decisions on. And making that easily accessible and discoverable, like I mentioned, is super, super critical. And so some, ideas about next steps, right? The improve the employee experience, whether it's recruitment, retention, well-being. I mentioned Viva in this space. We use some other online tools for recruiting and for onboarding, lots of software as a service. Shout out to my friends at Zenefits. This is now the second company in a row where, using the Zenefits platform for a lot of those things. Super, super user-friendly and super accessible when it comes to the employee experience, right? I got one place to go. I can see all my pay stubs. I can grab a W-2, should I decide to file my taxes early. And so having those things in mind as you, build these solutions out to really focus on that employee experience. Endpoint and end user computing strategy, that balance between company sponsored and personal, those tools exist now. Intune and other ancillary pieces have come a long, long way to really make that a reality. Like I said, shout out to our team to say, yeah, you can get to our company's most critical data, customers, revenue, insight into opportunity from a personal device. It says, here's what you have to go through to do it. And it's an easy process to accomplish, right? So I was a big fan of that. We've done a lot of this work around modernizing communications. Love to help you to continue on this journey, collapsing disparate systems into something that is very easy and usable and approachable. In the business case, I've, for the most part, stopped sharing my mobile number. Why? Because I have one number and it rings my desktop, it rings my cell phone, it flows into email and into Teams when it comes to someone leaving a voicemail or seeing call history. Having that integration when it comes to communication is just it's a game changer. And like I said, don't always want to trust Steve's gut, right? Well, let's make these decisions based off of data and making sure that the data is in the platforms, but then it's reportable and discoverable, and you can build the insights off of it, and make it available to everyone who needs it, right? We've done, like I said, I think some pretty cool stuff and things that we share with customers and can bring to customers as well around, analyzing information for like data quality and health reports and velocity. So in our world of engaging with customers, one of the things that I think about is, how long does it take us to go from you as a customer raising your hand, hey, I'm interested, to me being able to present the solution to you, to be able to start the engagement, and for Courtney and our delivery team to be able to, bring it to fruition. And so we really think about that as our organization, and it's something we can bring to the table for you. So it's really based off of, your unique goals. We solve, we don't sell, one of our core values. And so we incorporate everything that you're doing and what your specific needs are to really deliver that end solution, right? Teams calling is a perfect example, right? For some people, calling plans, for Microsoft are fine. We've got other partnerships, though, that embrace things like international calling or analog devices or whatever your specific needs might be in that space. We can bring the right partners, in some cases, the right hardware, as well as the right solutions and experience to make that really reflect what your needs are. It isn't one size fits all. If I'm on my cloud soapbox, it's one of the things, there are still folks that are thinking about cloud maybe for the first time, or thinking about what does it actually mean. And that's one of the key messages I try to deliver, is that cloud isn't one size fits all. It's not that we're all using the exact same system and solutions to solve our business problems. It's that it is, an 80-20 kind of thing, where we say, pick on Zenefits, right? Zenefits says, hey, here's the core of what we do, but then there's customization and your own business flows and your own, just like something rudimentary like reporting structure, right? There isn't a mandated structure that comes with the platform. And so being able to, have those solutions be flexible and match what you're really looking for is a function of cloud, right? It isn't that everybody's email works like Gmail kind of thing, right? It's that we have a platform we can build on top of to really customize for you. I promised I'd say a couple of things about hardware refreshes. It's kind of top of mind for me right now, just because of a personal experience, which is, in a lot of ways, there's things that have moved to the cloud. We've got software as a service. We've got, maybe in some instances, thinner clients and things like that. Hey, this device will last forever. Well, we tried that here with a cell phone for a member of my family. And what ended up happening is that, sure, it was good enough, but out of warranty, out of support, end of life, and one day you wake up to a black screen. that was harder to recover from than staying ahead of sort of the hardware adoption curve. And so it's definitely a different dynamic now with cloud services, right? It's not every employee in your organization running Win32 apps, hogging memory, growing every year, with their footprints and things like that. It's a different dynamic, but you can still wait too long, right? We've had a number of customers where we've worked with, that have found themselves in warranty pickles and, unable to continue, say, with a standard because machines or different devices have gone end of life. And so we definitely want to keep that as a consideration, right? I think some of the dynamics have changed, but the notion, like we sort of had in our household with regards to older Android cell phones, didn't really pay off for us, right? It was a more frustrating and a more expensive to us experience, based on the fact that we sort of ran into a brick wall, as opposed to, working around it. And so those are just a few thoughts as we kick off the new year. Like I said, we're with a lot of you. Our fiscal year closed on December 31st. It was a good year. We're looking to have another great year this year. And so we're in those planning stages and going through that work. Hey, what are we going to focus on? Not just what solutions we're going to bring to the market or what kind of customers we want to engage with, but how are we going to enhance our own business, right? Where are we going to invest? Where are we going to focus and continue to build the Apex business over time, just like a lot of you are. And so, we'd love to help you explore that, right? So if you're a current Apex customer, go ahead and contact your account executive. If you're not a customer, you can drop a note to sales. But like I always say, my email is right there on the slide, sthompson@apexdigital.com. We are also doing this through LinkedIn, and I'm open to connecting with any of you and talking about how we can partner, how Apex can help drive your continued transformation. We also are making investments in just bringing some of our insight, some of our perspective to the community as a whole. And so whether it's events like this or ebooks that our organization has produced and other customer stories and collateral, we make those available on the website, or if you want to just reach out to me. Happy to have a conversation, maybe even specifically about your organization and how we can step in to help. So welcome to 2023. I saw a funny cartoon that kids born this year will be graduating in the year 2041. That kind of blows my mind. I know what year I graduated, and to see crooked numbers like that and sort of the march forward of time is definitely interesting. And so I hope 23 is a wonderful year for you personally, professionally, for your organizations. And as always, let us know how Apex can help you get there. Thanks for joining me. Looking forward to talking to you next time.